A title like, "Translate this and my salary is yours." Millionaire laughed. The Maid did, and his jaw dropped carries within it the seed of a powerful message about hidden potential, underestimated talent, and the dangers of judging people by their position in life. It starts with what seems like a joke or a test of superiority. A wealthy man, confident in his status, challenges someone he believes to be beneath him. He frames the challenge with laughter, with arrogance, with the assumption that the maid standing before him could not possibly rise to the task. To him, it is entertainment, a way to assert his dominance, to highlight the gap between his success and her supposed limitations. But the moment she rises to the challenge and succeeds, the narrative flips. What was once mockery turns into shock, and his laughter is replaced by silence. His jaw drops, not because the task was impossible, but because he had never imagined that someone from a lower station could match or surpass his expectations. This title is not just about a literal translation of words. It is about the translation of human value. Too often in life, people are judged by the roles they play, the uniforms they wear, the salaries they earn. A maid is often seen only as a servant, someone without education, without skill, without depth. A millionaire is seen as powerful, educated, accomplished. But life has a way of reminding us that value is not defined by titles. Intelligence, resilience, and talent do not belong only to the rich or privileged. The maid's act of translating demonstrates that brilliance can be hidden in unexpected places, waiting for a moment to be revealed. There is also a layer of poetic justice in the situation. The millionaire believed he was setting a challenge that would embarrass her, but in reality, he set the stage for his own humbling. His arrogance created the very moment that exposed his narrow thinking. When her skill was revealed, he was not just surprised, he was forced to confront his own bias. That is why his jaw dropped, not simply from amazement at her ability, but from the uncomfortable realization that he had underestimated her humanity. The maid transformed from invisible to undeniable in an instant, not because she changed, but because he finally saw what was already there. The story holds a mirror to society. How often do we dismiss people because of their social status, their accent, their job, or their appearance? How many geniuses go unnoticed because they are cleaning floors instead of standing on stages? How many skilled minds are ignored because they wear a uniform that signals ordinary in the eyes of the privileged? The millionaire's reaction reflects our collective blindness. We laugh, we dismiss, we assume, but hidden in the background are people carrying stories, talents, and knowledge that could shock us if only we paid attention. There is also an empowering lesson for those who feel overlooked. The maid did not need wealth or status to validate her ability. She already possessed it. All it took was an opportunity to display it. Many people walk through life waiting for that moment, when their hidden talents can shine. The danger is that if they accept society's judgment of them, they may bury those talents forever. But if they nurture their skills quietly, consistently, one day the right moment will come. And when it does, they too can create a jaw-dropping moment that forces the world to see them differently. The story is also a lesson in humility for those at the top. Success should not make anyone blind to the potential of others. A true measure of greatness is not found in how you laugh at those below you, but in how you lift them up, how you recognize their worth, how you treat them with dignity, regardless of position. The millionaire could have chosen encouragement instead of mockery, curiosity instead of arrogance, respect instead of condescension. Instead, he chose laughter, and in return, he was humbled by the truth that talent does not follow the boundaries of wealth. This title speaks to the unexpected reversals of life. The mighty can be humbled, the overlooked can be elevated, and the world can shift in a single moment of revelation. The Maid's triumph reminds us that every person we encounter carries within them more than meets the eye. Behind every uniform, every low-paying job, every quiet presence, there is potential waiting to be acknowledged. And for those who dismiss others too quickly, life has a way of creating moments that open eyes and drop jaws. Never underestimate anyone, because the truth is, every person you meet carries a story, a skill, or a strength that you cannot see at first glance. Judging someone by their appearance, their uniform, their income, or the role they play in society is one of the quickest ways to blind yourself to the reality of human potential. People are not always what they seem, and greatness rarely wears a label that is easy to recognize. A maid may quietly clean rooms, but in her heart, she might carry wisdom born of hardship, language skills learned in silence, or resilience built from battles no one ever saw. The danger lies in assuming that, because someone serves you, they are less than you. That assumption is not only false but dangerous, because life has a way of surprising those who look down on others. The world is filled with examples of underestimated people rising to the top. History remembers inventors, leaders, and visionaries who were once dismissed as unworthy or incapable. The same principle applies in everyday life. You may meet a driver who knows more about human behavior than a psychologist, a security guard who writes poetry that could move nations, or a maid who can translate languages that even scholars struggle with. The mistake of underestimation comes from looking only at what a person does instead of who a person is. Jobs and titles are temporary. Skills and intelligence are often hidden beneath the surface, waiting for a chance to reveal themselves. When you underestimate someone, you close the door to learning from them. You rob yourself of the opportunity to see life from a different angle, to be surprised by knowledge you never expected. That is why humility is such a powerful trait. Humility allows you to approach people with curiosity instead of judgment, with respect instead of arrogance. The millionaire in the story laughed because he thought the maid was powerless to meet his challenge. In his eyes, her role defined her worth. But in reality, her hidden ability not only proved him wrong, but also shattered his illusion of superiority. His jaw dropped because the truth exposed his blindness. To underestimate someone is also to disrespect the struggles that shape them. Every person has walked a path you know nothing about. The maid in the story might have sacrificed education for survival, or perhaps she quietly studied while working to support her family. Her ability to translate did not appear by magic. It was built in the shadows of effort and persistence. People who seem ordinary often carry extraordinary strength because their lives demanded it. When you dismiss them, you dismiss the weight of their journey, the scars of their battles, and the depth of their resilience. The lesson here extends to how we live our own lives as well. If you allow others to underestimate you, you may begin to underestimate yourself. The maid could have laughed nervously, declined the challenge, or accepted the millionaire's judgment of her as incapable. Instead, she stood in her strength. She knew what she carried, and she let the moment reveal it. That is another danger of underestimation. It is not just about how we view others, but also about how others try to limit us. If you accept their small definition of you, you trap yourself in their vision, instead of living your potential. Refusing to be underestimated means believing in your own value, even when others cannot see it. Life constantly reminds us that value is not always loud, obvious, or celebrated. It is often quiet, overlooked, and hidden in plain sight. The person you dismiss today might be the one who saves you tomorrow. The worker you ignore might be the one with the solution you desperately need. The quiet voice you talk over might carry the wisdom to change your direction. That is why underestimation is so dangerous. It blinds us to the truth that everyone we encounter carries a gift. And sometimes that gift appears when we least expect it. When the millionaire laughed, he revealed more about himself than about the maid. His arrogance spoke of insecurity, his mockery spoke of ignorance, and his shock spoke of blindness. The maid's calm act of translating revealed quiet confidence, hidden strength, and undeniable proof that no one should ever be measured by position alone. To underestimate anyone is to risk being humbled, because life does not divide intelligence, strength, or talent by salary brackets. It distributes them widely, unpredictably, and beautifully, reminding us that worth is universal, and respect must be as well. Arrogance is one of the most dangerous traits a person can carry because it convinces you that you are above others, while quietly preparing your fall. When the millionaire laughed and threw his challenge at the maid, he was not just joking, he was revealing how little respect he had for her. His wealth made him believe he had the right to mock. His status made him think he was untouchable, and his arrogance blinded him to the reality that people cannot be measured by surface impressions. The problem with arrogance is that it feeds on the illusion of superiority, but illusions cannot survive contact with truth. The moment the maid revealed her hidden ability, his pride collapsed. That is why his jaw dropped, not only because she translated successfully, but because his arrogance had built a world where such an outcome was impossible in his mind. When arrogance takes root, it makes you underestimate others and overestimate yourself at the same time. You begin to believe that money, titles, or achievements make you immune to challenge. You look down on people who hold less power, less education, or less wealth, thinking they could never rise to your level. But the danger is that arrogance blinds you to reality. The maid did not need his approval or his status to prove herself. She only needed the chance, and once given, she shattered his illusion. That is how arrogance leads to humbling. Life has a way of pulling down those who build their confidence on mockery and pride. The story reflects a universal truth: pride always invites a fall. When you carry arrogance, you stop listening, you stop respecting, and you stop learning. The millionaire laughed because he thought he already knew the outcome. To him, the maid's failure was certain, so he did not consider the possibility that she might surprise him. This is the trap of arrogance. It makes you blind to the potential around you, blind to the depth in others, blind to your own limitations. And when that blindness is exposed, the humiliation is sharp because it reveals how shallow your judgment has been. The maid's success is more than a personal victory. It is a mirror showing the emptiness of arrogance. She did not need to boast. She did not need to belittle him in return. She simply acted. Her quiet confidence contrasted with his loud pride, and in the end, her humility carried more strength than his wealth. That is another lesson arrogance fails to understand. True strength does not need to announce itself. It simply shows up and speaks for itself. Arrogance shouts because it is insecure. Humility acts because it knows its own value. This story is a warning to anyone who builds their identity on arrogance. You may laugh at those you believe are beneath you. You may dismiss their potential. You may take pride in your advantages, but life will eventually place you in a situation where the truth surfaces. And when it does, the fall is sharp because arrogance leaves you unprepared for reality. The millionaire thought he was making a joke at her expense, but he ended up being the punchline himself. That is how arrogance humiliates. It does not just collapse, it collapses publicly, in ways that expose the smallness of the pride that created it. Arrogance also destroys respect. People may obey an arrogant leader, They may serve an arrogant employer, but deep down, they do not respect them. Respect is earned through humility, empathy, and fairness, not through mocking or belittling others. The maid's triumph earned respect not because she flaunted her skill, but because she revealed it with grace. The millionaire lost respect because his arrogance had already poisoned his image, and his shock only made him look weaker. When arrogance meets humility, humility always wins in the long run because it builds trust, while arrogance builds walls. In life, arrogance is often a mask. People who laugh at others usually do so to hide their own insecurities. They mock what they fear. They dismiss what they do not understand. They act superior to cover the parts of themselves that feel small. The millionaire laughed not because he was strong, but because deep down he needed to remind himself of his own superiority. But the maid did not need that mask. Her quiet action was enough. That is the ultimate humiliation for arrogance, to be defeated not by someone louder or richer, but by someone humble, steady, and underestimated. The story shows us that arrogance cannot stand forever. It may feel powerful in the moment. It may create the illusion of dominance, but truth has a way of breaking through. The millionaire's wealth could not protect him from embarrassment, and his status could not hide his blindness. The maid's humility and hidden skill revealed the reality he had ignored. Arrogance always leads to humbling, because it builds its confidence on fragile ground, while humility builds its confidence on substance. And when those two meet, arrogance falls and humility rises. Hidden potential is one of the most powerful truths about human beings, because so much of what people are capable of lies beneath the surface, unseen until the right moment calls it out. In the story, the maid appeared to be just a servant, someone hired to clean, someone assumed to have little education or skill. The millionaire's laughter came from that assumption, the belief that her role defined her limits. But when she rose to his challenge and translated successfully, her hidden potential broke through his prejudice like light breaking through darkness. That moment reminds us that countless individuals walk through life carrying talents, knowledge, and strengths that the world overlooks simply because it cannot see past appearances. Potential often stays hidden, not because it does not exist, but because the environment does not allow it to shine. Many people are forced into jobs for survival, not passion. They take roles that pay bills, not roles that reflect their abilities. A maid may be a language scholar in disguise. A factory worker may be an artist whose hands never touch canvas. A driver may carry the wisdom of a philosopher. But life circumstances, lack of opportunity, or social judgment push them into roles that hide their brilliance. The danger is that, when others see them only through the lens of their job, they assume there is nothing more. Hidden potential is overlooked not because it is absent, but because people do not look deeply enough. The maid's action shows that hidden potential needs only one spark, one chance to change everything. She did not become intelligent in that moment. She already was. She did not suddenly gain the ability to translate. She had carried it all along. What changed was the opportunity to reveal it. That is why it is so important never to dismiss someone too quickly, because the day may come when they are given the stage to show what they are truly capable of. And when that happens, those who mocked will be left silent, those who doubted will be humbled, and those who believed will be vindicated. Hidden potential also speaks to perseverance. Many people with gifts remain unseen for years, even decades, but they keep practicing, keep learning, keep developing quietly. They may not receive applause, they may not get recognition, but they build themselves in the shadows. And when the right opportunity comes, they are ready. The maid was ready. She did not stumble, she did not hesitate. She translated with the ease of someone who had prepared long before anyone noticed her. That is a powerful reminder that even if the world is not watching, we must keep sharpening our abilities because hidden potential is not truly hidden from ourselves. It is waiting for the day when silence ends and revelation begins. The story also reflects the injustice of how society measures worth. Too often, people are placed in boxes based on what they do for a living, how much money they earn, or what social status they hold. A maid is dismissed as unimportant, while a millionaire is celebrated as superior. But potential does not obey social hierarchies. A poor child may have more brilliance than a wealthy scholar. A servant may hold more wisdom than the person they serve. Life distributes gifts widely, without regard to wealth or power, and those gifts remain in people, whether or not society chooses to acknowledge them. There is a personal lesson here as well. Many people underestimate themselves because they have been underestimated by others for so long. They bury their gifts. They silence their skills. They convince themselves that because the world does not see them, they are not valuable. But hidden potential is still potential, and it is still real, even if no one recognizes it yet. The maid could have hidden her ability forever, but the challenge gave her a reason to bring it out. Likewise, we all have moments in life when circumstances force us to show what we carry inside. When those moments come, the question is not whether the world is ready, but whether we are. The millionaire's shock came not only from her skill, but from the collapse of his belief that he was superior. Hidden potential does more than reveal talent. It dismantles false hierarchies. It proves that no one should be measured by surface appearances. It humbles those who assume too much and empowers those who have been ignored. It shows that greatness can come from anywhere, that extraordinary talent can live inside ordinary appearances, and that respect must be given to all because you never know who is carrying a gift that could change everything. Hidden potential is life's reminder that what you see is never the full story, and what you assume may be shattered in a single, jaw-dropping moment. Respect is one of the simplest yet most powerful things a human being can give, and it should never be tied to money, job titles, or social position. Every person, no matter their role, carries dignity that must be acknowledged. The story of the millionaire and the maid highlights how often society fails at this truth. The millionaire laughed because in his mind, the maid was beneath him, unworthy of serious recognition. His wealth gave him a false sense of superiority, and his arrogance made him believe that mocking her was acceptable. But when she revealed her hidden ability, his world turned upside down. In that moment, the imbalance of respect was exposed, and the lesson was clear: respect is universal, and denying it only leads to humiliation. To respect someone is to recognize their humanity, regardless of circumstance. A maid may sweep floors, but that does not define the full measure of her worth. She may be in service, but she is still a person with intelligence, experiences, and emotions equal to anyone else. When respect is denied, it is not only the other person who is diminished, but also the one doing the denying. The millionaire's mockery made him look smaller because it revealed that he saw people only through the narrow lens of wealth and status. His failure to respect her did not expose her weakness, it exposed his blindness. Respect should not be conditional. Too often, people give respect upwards, to bosses, leaders, celebrities, while withholding it from those they consider below them. But true respect flows in every direction. It is not a performance for those who hold power, it is an attitude toward all human beings. The maid's dignity was not diminished by her job, it was ignored by those unwilling to see it. When she translated and stunned the millionaire, she did not suddenly become worthy of respect. she had always been worthy. The difference was that he could no longer deny it. The failure to respect others creates dangerous assumptions. When people are dismissed, they are often underestimated, and that underestimation leads to shock when their true capabilities are revealed. The millionaire never considered that his maid could carry such skill, because he had already decided her value. That is the trap of selective respect. It makes you blind to reality. When respect is withheld, you fail to see the full picture of who someone is. Respect is not only a moral principle, but also a practical one, because recognizing the value in others allows you to learn, to grow, and to avoid the humiliation of being proven wrong. Respect also builds bridges between people. When you treat others with dignity, you invite trust, connection, and mutual growth. A leader who respects their workers earns loyalty. A teacher who respects students draws out their potential. A millionaire who respects a maid may find wisdom and lessons beyond his own experience. Respect transforms relationships from transactions into bonds. Without it, interactions remain shallow, built only on power dynamics. With it, interactions become meaningful, because they recognize the shared humanity that exists beneath all roles. There is a deeper lesson here for how society views labor. Too often, jobs like cleaning, serving, or manual work are seen as lesser, as if the people who do them are less intelligent or capable. But those roles are the backbone of society. Without them, life would not function. To disrespect someone because of their work is to disrespect the very foundation that supports daily living. The millionaire's arrogance came from forgetting that wealth does not erase dependence on others. Respect reminds us that no matter our position, we are interconnected, and each role carries value. The maid's triumph is powerful because it restores the balance of respect. In that moment, the millionaire could no longer hide behind his status. He was forced to confront the truth that his judgment was wrong. She did not shout. She did not belittle him in return. She simply revealed her ability, and in doing so, demanded respect without asking for it. That is the strength of dignity. It does not need loud defense. It speaks through action. Respect is also a reflection of character. How you treat people who cannot give you anything in return says more about you than how you treat those who can. The millionaire treated the maid as entertainment, someone to be mocked for his own amusement. That revealed the poverty of his character despite the richness of his bank account. The maid, by contrast, revealed depth, humility, and strength through her calm response. Respect separates true greatness from shallow pride. The story makes it clear that respect should never be earned only through extraordinary acts. The maid did not become worthy of respect because she translated. She was always worthy because she was human. Her skill only forced the blind to see what should have been seen all along. Respect is not a prize for proving yourself. It is a birthright. Every person carries it, and denying it only exposes the ignorance of those who withhold it. Humility is one of the most important lessons, hidden in the story of the millionaire and the maid, because it shows how quickly arrogance can crumble and how powerful it is to stay grounded no matter who you are or what you have achieved. The millionaire thought his wealth placed him above others, and his laughter carried the weight of pride. In his mind, the maid was there to serve, and her worth extended no further than her role. Yet in a single moment, she overturned that belief, proving that true value cannot be measured by money or status. That experience forced him to face humility, and humility is often learned not in triumph, but in moments of shock, when the world reminds you that you are not as untouchable as you believe. Humility is not weakness. It does not mean lowering yourself to the point of invisibility or denying your achievements. It means recognizing that no matter how high you rise, You are still human, still capable of error, and still surrounded by others who may carry strengths you do not see. The millionaire lacked humility because he assumed superiority. He laughed at someone without realizing that she might possess something he did not. Humility prevents that kind of blindness because it reminds you that everyone has something to teach you. The maid's lesson was not just about translation. It was about the danger of pride and the wisdom that comes when pride is broken. The beauty of humility is that it creates space for respect, learning, and growth. A humble person treats others with dignity regardless of their position. They ask questions instead of making assumptions. They listen more than they speak. If the millionaire had been humble, he would not have laughed, but perhaps asked the maid about her background, her interests, her skills. That simple act could have turned a moment of mockery into a moment of discovery. Instead, his pride closed the door, and her response forced it open. Humility allows you to see the full humanity in others, while arrogance makes you blind to it. Humility is also the antidote to entitlement. Many people who gain wealth, success, or recognition begin to believe they deserve more respect, more privilege, more authority than others. They forget the effort, the help, and the circumstances that contributed to their rise. They believe they are self-made giants, looking down on the rest of the world, but life has a way of humbling those who forget their own vulnerability. Illness, failure, or unexpected revelations, like the maid's skill, remind us that we are not as above others as we like to imagine. Humility guards against entitlement by keeping gratitude alive. It teaches us to acknowledge that our place in life is not only the result of our own effort, but also the support and sacrifices of countless others around us. Humility also earns trust and admiration in ways that pride never can. A wealthy person who is arrogant may command fear or obedience, but they rarely win hearts. A wealthy person who is humble, who treats others as equals, who listens and respects, becomes a figure people admire and follow willingly. Humility creates loyalty because it communicates that no one is beneath you. The maid's quiet dignity revealed more strength than the millionaire's laughter, and in that reversal, we see that humility often speaks louder than pride. Another truth about humility is that it protects you from humiliation. The millionaire laughed at the maid and ended up silenced by his own arrogance. His pride made him vulnerable, because when reality struck, it shattered his illusion completely. If he had carried humility, he would not have been caught off guard in such a dramatic way. Humility keeps you prepared because it keeps you realistic. It does not allow you to underestimate others, nor does it allow you to overestimate yourself. In a world full of surprises, humility is a shield against the embarrassment of pride. Humility is also deeply tied to wisdom. Truly wise people are often those who admit they do not know everything, those who approach life as learners rather than judges. They understand that knowledge and skill are distributed widely, often in unexpected places. A maid in one household could be a teacher, an artist, a scholar, or a leader waiting to emerge. Humility allows you to see that possibility, while pride blinds you to it. The millionaire thought he knew who his maid was, but his arrogance made him ignorant. Wisdom paired with humility would have told him look closer, listen more, never assume. Finally, humility elevates character in a way that wealth or status never can. Money can buy power, but it cannot buy respect. Status can bring recognition, but it cannot guarantee admiration. Humility, however, earns both naturally because it reflects inner strength, balance, and authenticity. The maid did not demand the millionaire's respect with force or pride. She simply demonstrated her ability and let the truth speak for itself. That is humility in action, quiet, powerful, undeniable. It reminds us that those who walk humbly often leave the deepest marks, because their greatness does not shout. It reveals itself in moments that leave others speechless.